Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. I'm so sorry that I am running late if you are catching me live. Went to lunch with our car club ladies today in a different town, and we had to wait in traffic along the way. So, and I brought my iPad in here, and it looks like the battery has ran out of it. So if you are on chat and you are, and I don't see your message, please forgive me. Okay. So I've got a fun technique today. I think it's going to be fun anyway. It was fun for me. All right. Let's get to it. So the embossing folder that I'm going to be using to create our background is this one that is called Fern. It's a 3D embossing folder, and I really like it. I live on the coast here in Oregon, and so we have a lot of fern that grows around, and so it just reminds me of where I live. And then also I'm going to be using this Inspirational Sketches stamp set. This is in the mini catalog, and I'm going to use the fun mushroom image that's in here. This is a red rubber cling stamp set. So there you can see what they look like. There's a lot of shading that is done for you in these stamps already. I absolutely bird, and that's why I bought this stamp set, but I really like the mushrooms. And if you haven't noticed, mushrooms are a big thing this year. I know I've said that already, but boy, are they. I see them all the time now in things when I'm out shopping and stuff. So they are definitely a thing. Okay, so let me grab my piece of white here. I'll tell you what I've got this cut to. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. But I have this cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just going to put it in the embossing folder and run it through. Now, again, this is a 3D embossing folder, so you usually have to adjust your plates depending on what kind of machine you have, okay? So I'll run this through and I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is. Now, for this technique, and what I'm going to do, you actually want to use the deboss side. So that is the side where the images are going in rather than being puffed out. And I'm going to use a blender brush, and I'm going to use Old Olive. I wish I had my iPad on so I could kind of see how we're doing with the lighting. I've got a little light that's underneath my phone right here. That should be helping, but I don't know. Okay, so now depending on the embossing folder and what line you're trying to bring out, you might choose to do different colors in here. But for this one being, all of it being fern, I'm just going to use one color. Keep in mind for this technique, we're going to be going back over it after I lay this color down, and you want to use a darker color of ink when you're going back over it. So If you're doing like I'm doing today, make sure you choose your lighter color of ink to do your blending with. So I'm just going to be putting this old olive color over this whole piece of paper. Now you could start with just the old olive cardstock and not do this, what I'm doing. However, when you do what I'm doing here with putting the color on yourself, you're going to come out with lots of variations in it, which in the end turns out to be really beautiful, to have all that different variation in the colors. But you could totally just start with colored cardstock. I think it just depends on, you know, the image that you are using, whatever your embossing folder is, and what your final outcome, you know, what you're looking to achieve is. But today we're going to do it this way. Just wanted to let you know, though, that you have options in that. Okay, so there we go. You can kind of see the fern there. Now then, I'm pulling out shaded spruce. This is, well, there's mossy meadow, which is also a dark green, but I chose to use shaded spruce, and that is one of the darker greens that Stampin' Up! Has. And so what we're going to do now is lightly brush over the top here, and you kind of want to turn it and go different directions, but just use a light touch, and you're just going to build up this color. You just don't want to press down and squish the ink into it, but this just brings out your design, and you can already see all the variation in color that I'm getting, both from the blending that I did, but also from this here, I'm getting some of that kind of more teal looking because it's picking up the ink a little bit less in those spots. Isn't it fun? It just turns out so pretty. Now there's a technique you can do like this that I did or learned to do a long time ago too, that's called black ice. And that makes really pretty kind of wintry cards, but you're using like an embossing powder and ink with that technique, but it's done in the same way. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the way that looks, and you can see here I've made a big old inky mess. So I will pull that paper out so we don't get ink all over everything. Actually, just gonna fold it here and set that down so we can let it dry. And we will get onto the stamping. All right. So let me grab another piece of paper here so we don't get reflection off of the glass. And I need to grab a wet wipe so I can get this ink off my fingers. Okay, I'm going to give you just a minute, maybe probably not that long, a few seconds of a break. I'll pull this back over so you can see it. I'm going to grab the cord to my iPad so I can plug that in. I don't like not seeing if people are leaving comments or questions. Okay, I'm back. So sorry. I need a new iPad, I think, because this one, when it gets down to a certain amount of battery level left, even though it's not low, it just zaps all the battery out of it, which is weird. Okay, so there's that, and here is this. Now, I was on my first card, I used very vanilla to stamp and color on, but I found that with the alcohol markers, it didn't work out very well. The color was bleeding. And I don't want that to happen, so I've got a piece of the paper that I like to use with alcohol markers to not have that happen. Okay, so I'm going to ink up my mushroom here, mushrooms, with some Memento Tuxedo Black. And if you're lucky enough to have a Stamparatus, or you might have a Misty, it's just nice to be able to use a stamping platform so you can ink your image more than once if necessary. And in the meantime, I'm just pulling this up here, sorry, on my iPad. There it is. Okay, let me see if I need to do that again. I think I probably will. Doesn't look too bad, but I just want it one more time. Okay, so I'm blurry. Am I still blurry? Hi, Marianne. Let me pull this light off. I can see that darn yellow. Hang on. I can see that darn yellow thing going through it too. I have had more trouble, you guys. Okay, I'm going to pull this light off here and put this back up. Hmm. All right, I have no idea why it's being blurry. Is it still blurry on your end? Is that better? Okay, so I'm hoping that's better now. I'm just bringing in some of my blends to color up these mushrooms. I'm gonna start with ivory. And I'm gonna color the stems and underneath the mushroom here. And that is part of a stem. This ends up being kind of a fun card because it's one that you could give to, you know, a guy or a woman. It's a card that you can use for whatever purpose. I'm not going to put a greeting on the outside of it, so then when you give it, you know, you can always make it into a birthday card, thinking of you, thank you, whatever you need to use it for. Put a little bit of this color up here. Okay, so then I have got this number here, SU 200. Whoa, that's really blurry. I'm really sorry, you guys. I need to get this figured out. It's frustrating if you can't tell. So I'm just adding a little bit of this brown in, and then I will go back and blend it. Some of it's easier because you can just see where they've already put that shading in for you. So you kind of know where to go in and add some extra color. And then I will come back and blend that back out with that same ivory. You could always watercolor or use pencils, whatever medium you like to use. I'm probably not even going to be coloring these mushrooms or toadstools. I refer to them as toadstools because these definitely are not going to end up being the kind of mushrooms that you could eat. I'm probably not going to be coloring them the way they would be in reality, but that's okay because you can make them whatever color you want. That's what I say. I forgot to color underneath those. I had some mushrooms last night. We've got an Asian restaurant here that is actually sadly going out of business, closing next month. They've been here for years. and they have the best deep fried mushrooms. So we went there for one last meal there before they close next month. And I had to order some of those mushrooms. Nobody else in town has them like that, and they're so good. They're like they do the tempura. Okay, so there is that. Now then, for the mushroom tops, I'm going to start with light lemon lolly. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that on the other underneath too. Celebration is ending soon. It only lasts till the end of this month. So if there's something you've been wanting to order, don't miss out on getting something for free with a $50 order. Before that goes away. All right, so there is that base of that. So now I'm going to come in with some light poppy parade. And let's see, I'm just going to do a little bit of this and that. I know it looks a little weird, but it'll all come together in the end. I think, anyway. Hopefully. I'm also going to add just a little bit of light real red. I'll put that more up to the top here of this color. You're probably thinking those are the weirdest mushrooms I've ever seen. All right, now then, let's bring back lemon lolly. Hi, Nancy May. Thank you. Sorry about all my weird lighting today. Things are not being cooperative for me today. Okay, so I'm just going to do some blending a little bit here, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more. Sorry about the squeaky squeaky with my marker. That can be annoying. Maybe I should use the brush tip and it won't be so bad. I just want to blend out all my harsh edges so that they fade into each other a little bit better there. All right, we're going to go with that. Now then, I'm just going to come in with some light old olive. Now again, this was the color that I used when I did the blending part of the embossing folder, okay? I'm going to just come in around the image here with this color because I don't want white around it. And there are no dies for this set, so you got to get a little creative here of what you want to do with it. I could always fussy cut it, but I'm not much of a fussy cutter. Plus, that just wasn't what I wanted to do today. So I'm just going to bring this color out, and then I'm going to die cut around the whole thing here. My black ink pad must have had some lint on it or something. I keep picking up some little fuzzies. Now, if you wanted to make these a little more whimsical than my bright colors I did on them, you could come back in and add some white polka dots to them. But I didn't want to get that crazy with it. Not for this card. But I do see toadstools, mushrooms, whatever you want to call them, with these bright orange colors, and they're huge. They grow here. They just sprout up overnight in the fall. We don't get too many of them with the red or orange tops on them right in our yard, but right across the street they do. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting that out with an oval. What did I do with it? Here it is. So I just want to make sure that yeah, so we're good there. But before I do that, I'm going to take my black stamp blend here. Oh, we are still, I don't know, unless it's the Wi-Fi, you guys. I don't know why I'm having such trouble today. And we don't have bad weather, so I shouldn't be having Wi-Fi trouble. So I'm just going to take the brush end of my marker and the cap, and I'm just going to flick the ink out here and do some dotting. Excuse me. Just kind of gives it that distressed look a little bit. Okay, and before I put my marker back in the cap, I'm going to just stick some tissue up there and clean that ink out so I don't have a big mess. There we go. And then I'm going to use one of my oval dies. This is from the Layering Ovals, Stampin' Up! Retired these dies, unfortunately, but you can use whatever die you have that you want to use. Okay, I'll run this through my machine and I'll be right back. So there we have that. I'll bring in the rest of my parts and pieces here. Sorry, I'm trying to get this so that it's not blurry. So I'm using a black card base, and it's just our typical 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 size. And then I have a layer of copper clay, and it's an 1/8 of an inch smaller. Oopsie, running out of adhesive. Getting rid of some of my light here to see if maybe that will help the situation. I don't know if it will or not. Okay, so I'm just going to attach this embossed panel on. I think I'll turn it that way. And then I've got a piece of Very Vanilla here that I cut out the next size up oval, but before I attach those on, I'm just going to go around the edge here. I'm using some vintage photo distress ink. all the other products are Stampin' Up, but I just am a little bit partial to this for inking edges. There we go. And let's see, I want some dimensionals. I'm so sorry about the blurriness, you guys. I know that's frustrating to try to watch something when it's like that. And then I'm just going to glue this piece onto the front. And then for a little bit of embellishing, I have the opaque faceted gems. This is an item you can get for free with a $50 order during a celebration from Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to use this brown color here, which I believe is the copper clay, the same color as that layer of cardstock that I used. I'm just going to pop 3 of them on here. So there is that. And for the inside, when I did my first card with that, I had not trimmed my piece beforehand. So this is a tip. If you're going to be doing a lot of inking on your embossed image and then trimming it afterwards, just be aware that it could create that white edge on your card. And you either need to go back and kind of ink that up or just trim it to the right size when you are creating it. So I had trimmed my first one and decided I didn't like that, but I kept the little pieces that I trimmed off, so I'm just going to use a piece of that for the inside of my card here. I don't know if that helps to bring it closer or if that makes it worse. I'll see when I can see it on my iPad. Doesn't look like it's helping that much. I'm really wishing at this point that we wouldn't have upgraded to these new iPhones, because that's when my trouble started. The camera apparently is too fancy for me or something. I don't know. It's got all these different settings on it that I've tried to go in and study up on. And I can do one video and have it turn out just fine, and then the next one I'm having all these problems with. So I can't tell you my frustration level with it. Other than I feel like taking the phone and throwing it out the window. Ah, yeah. that's not going to happen. So I just need to get it figured out. So there we go for the inside. That little strip just gives it a little bit of decoration in there and kind of brings the front to the inside. So there is that one. This is the one I made earlier. And now we can do story time. And again, I apologize for the horrible blurriness of the picture. All right, if the shoe fits, the slippers in the original French story of Cinderella were made of fur, not glass. The change came in the, I don't know how to pronounce these words, but it looks like verre, fur, was taken for verre, glass, I don't know. The boots worn by Neil Armstrong on the moon in 1969 were left there to prevent contamination when he returned to Earth. Just little fun facts about shoes. Aw, what a cute picture. In the United States, parents often have their baby's first shoes bronzed as a keepsake of his or her babyhood. I haven't seen those in a long time. Pointy-toed shoes became popular around the 14th century, and the fashion spread all over Europe and beyond. Sometimes the points were so long that they had to be tied up to keep them from dragging. In England in 1363, a law prescribed the length of the pointed toe according to class. The longest toe was reserved for nobility. It was a custom in China to throw a bride's red shoe up on the roof on the couple's wedding night to ensure marital love and harmony. Left-handed people are also left-footed. In other words, they tend to take the first step with the left foot. I didn't know that. The high curved heel, which we call the Louis heel, goes back to the Louis XIV of France in the 17th century. He wore them to appear taller. Did I get that right? Yeah, 14. We were talking about that the other day, reading Roman numerals, or if that was still taught. Okay, we're going to stop. Well, I'll read this one and then I'll know next time that we stopped with that picture. In some religions, shoes are offered as sacrifices to gods. All right. Well, that is it for today. Hopefully by next video, I will have this issue figured out. And I hope that I don't lose viewers over my troubles here trying to get this situation resolved with the blurriness and the lighting. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for bearing with me. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.